Have you ever felt like you're invisible in a conversation, like your words just vanish into thin air? Or maybe you've been in a situation where someone else seems to effortlessly command attention while you struggle to be heard. These moments aren't just frustrating, they're glimpses into the subtle power dynamics that shape our daily interactions. We're not talking about the grand power plays of kings and conquerors here. No, this is about the quiet, everyday games unfolding in your office, your friendships, even your love life. It's about who gets seen, who gets heard, and who's subtly pulling the strings behind the scenes. Think about it. That moment when your boss cuts you off mid-sentence. It's not just annoying, it's a quiet power play. They're asserting dominance, and deep down it stings. Or when a friend brushes off your advice like it's nothing. It feels like a dismissal, a subtle message that your voice doesn't carry weight. These aren't just petty grievances, they're micro-battles in the arena of human connection. Carl Jung, the pioneer of analytical psychology, might say this sting comes from your shadow, the hidden parts of your psyche that crave recognition and validation. When you're overlooked, your shadow whispers, "Hey, I matter too." It's not just ego, it's a fundamental human need to be seen and heard. But here's the twist. Understanding these dynamics isn't about becoming a master manipulator or seeking revenge. It's about awareness, seeing the invisible threads that tie us together and learning to navigate them with grace. Because true power isn't just about who speaks the loudest, it's about who listens the deepest. And that, my friend, is where the real game begins. Have you ever felt like you're just there? Like you're part of the scenery, blending into the background while life buzzes around you? It's a strange kind of loneliness, isn't it? Not loud or dramatic, but quiet, like a whisper you can't quite shake. Let me introduce you to Alex. Alex is the quiet one at work, sits in the corner, barely says a word. Day after day, they're surrounded by the hum of keyboards, the chatter of colleagues, the occasional burst of laughter from the break room. But Alex? They're overlooked. Assumed to be uninvolved, maybe even uninterested. The loudmouths in the office get the attention, the praise, the nods of approval. Alex, though, is like a ghost, seen but not really seen. But here's the thing. Alex knows more about the company's projects than anyone else in the room. While others are busy talking, Alex is listening, observing, absorbing. They're not just sitting in the corner, they're quietly mapping the entire landscape of the workplace. It's like they're wearing a cloak of invisibility, moving through the chaos unnoticed but razor-sharp. Carl Jung, one of the great minds in psychology, would call this the shadow self. The shadow isn't something dark or sinister, it's the part of us that holds untapped potential, the strengths and insights we haven't fully acknowledged or expressed. For Alex, being overlooked isn't a weakness, it's a hidden reservoir of power. Imagine it like this. While everyone else is splashing around in the shallow end, Alex is diving deep, exploring the quiet depths where the real treasures lie. But let's be honest, being ignored stings. It feels like rejection, like your voice doesn't matter. And yet, what if being overlooked isn't a curse, but a chance to shine when it counts? What if, instead of fighting for attention, you could use that invisibility to your advantage? Picture this. The team's stuck on a deadline. Panic is rising, ideas are bouncing around, but nothing's sticking. Then, out of the blue, Alex speaks up. It's not loud or forceful, just a calm, clear suggestion. And bam, the problem's solved. Suddenly, the room shifts. Eyes widen, heads turn, and everyone's thinking, who is this person? In that moment, Alex isn't just seen, they're felt. Their quiet presence, once overlooked, now commands the space. Jung would say that Alex has integrated their shadow, bringing that hidden strength into the light. It's not about becoming someone else, it's about revealing what was always there, waiting for the right moment to emerge. So, what about you? When have you felt overlooked, and what hidden strength might be lurking in your shadow, just waiting to be unleashed? Have you ever been in a conversation where the silence felt louder than words? It's an odd sensation, isn't it? The quiet stretches, and suddenly, the air feels thick with unspoken thoughts, emotions bubbling just beneath the surface. Most of us rush to fill that space, to break the tension with chatter. But what if that silence is exactly what's needed? Now imagine a therapist, calm as a lake, sitting across from a client who's unraveling. Her posture is steady, her face serene, while the client's words spill out in a torrent, rants of frustration, jagged edges of confusion, a desperate attempt to untangle the mess inside. She doesn't interrupt. She doesn't jump in with advice or soothing platitudes. She just listens. The silence stretches, heavy and deliberate, like a thread pulled tight. And in that stillness, something remarkable happens. The client starts spilling truths they didn't even know they had. This isn't just a moment of calm. It's a technique straight out of cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. In CBT, silence isn't passive, it's powerful. It's a tool to regulate emotions, both yours and theirs. Think of it like a blank canvas handed to the client's mind. Without the clutter of words, they're free to paint their raw, unfiltered feelings. By stepping back, the therapist creates space for the client to face their own thoughts, to wrestle with them, and to find clarity. As psychologist Gabor Mate puts it, true healing begins when we learn to listen, not just to others, but to ourselves. Silence becomes the doorway to that inner voice. But it's not easy. The client fidgets, their mind racing. Why isn't she talking? They wonder, anxiety prickling their skin. The quiet feels like a void, a challenge. They squirm under its weight, restless, unsettled. Then, boom, a shift. In the absence of distraction, their own thoughts echo louder. Words they've buried rise to the surface, fragile but honest. I've been running from this, they might whisper, or, I didn't realize I felt that way. The silence didn't just listen, it led them straight to a breakthrough. This is emotional intelligence at work. The therapist reads the room, sensing the client's need for space. Her silence isn't cold, it's a quiet act of empathy, a way of saying, I'm here, and I trust you to find your way. It's a skill that sees beyond the noise to the truth underneath. Here's a metaphor. Silence is like a mirror. It reflects back what people project, their fears, their hopes, their unspoken struggles. When you're met with silence, there's nowhere to hide. You're left staring at your own reflection, forced to see what's really there. It's not comfortable, but it's revealing. Ever notice how the quietest person in the room often knows the most? They're not scrambling to dominate the conversation, they're watching, absorbing, piecing things together. Silence gives them power, a kind of steady wisdom that noise can't touch. And here's where it gets personal. We can all use strategic silence in our own lives. Next time you're in a heated argument or a tense moment, try it. Don't rush to respond. Let the silence settle. It's not about winning or fixing. It's about creating space for the other person to reveal themselves, and maybe for you to hear your own heart more clearly. In that pause, you might find a bridge to understanding, a quiet path to connection. Sometimes, the most profound answers come when we stop talking and start listening. Have you ever been in the middle of an argument with someone you love, and suddenly, it feels like you're both speaking different languages? The words are there, but the meaning gets lost in a fog of frustration and hurt. It's like you're standing on opposite sides of a canyon, shouting across the divide, but the echoes only make things worse. Meet Jamie and Taylor, a couple teetering on the edge. The air between them is thick with tension. Jamie's voice rises, sharp and jagged, each word a lightning bolt in a storm of emotion. Taylor, on the other hand, is shutting down, retreating into a shell of silence, their body language screaming, I can't do this anymore. It's a dance they've done before, Jamie pushing, Taylor pulling away, and it always ends the same way, with both of them feeling more alone than ever. Then one night, something shifts. In the heat of yet another argument, Taylor stops. They take a deep breath, and instead of firing back or walking away, they say something unexpected. Wait, tell me what you're really feeling. It's a simple question, but it cuts through the noise like a beacon in the dark. This moment is a perfect example of what psychologist Alfred Adler called social interest. Adler believed that our mental health and happiness are deeply tied to our ability to connect with others, to step outside our own perspective and see the world through someone else's eyes. It's not about winning the argument or being right, it's about understanding the human being in front of you. Their argument is like a storm, wild, chaotic, and overwhelming. But when Taylor pauses and asks that question, it's as if they've stepped into the eye of the storm. Suddenly, there's calm, clarity, a moment of stillness where everything becomes clear. In that space, the noise fades, and what's left is the raw, unfiltered truth of their emotions. What if understanding someone's lens could turn a fight into a bond? What if, instead of defending our own territory, we dared to cross into theirs, to see the world as they see it? Jamie hesitates at first, caught off guard. But then, slowly they start to speak, not from a place of anger, but from vulnerability. "I feel like I'm not enough," Jamie admits, their voice cracking. Taylor listens, really listens, and for the first time in a long while, they see each other, not as opponents, but as two people trying to navigate the messiness of love. Tears flow, but they're not tears of frustration. They're tears of relief, of being seen and understood. By the end of the night, they haven't just fixed the fight. They've grown closer, their bonds strengthened by the simple act of trying to understand each other. In that moment, Jamie and Taylor discovered that true connection isn't about agreeing on everything. It's about understanding each other, even when it's hard. Sometimes, the bravest thing we can do is to pause, take a breath, and ask, "What are you really feeling?" Because when we do, we open the door to something deeper than winning. We open the door to love. What if I told you that the secret to navigating power dynamics isn't about being the loudest or the most cunning, but about something much deeper, something that starts within? It's not about outsmarting others. It's about understanding yourself and reading the people around you. This is emotional intelligence in action, and it's the quiet force that turns tension into connection. Sigmund Freud, the father of psychoanalysis, gave us the concept of the ego, that part of our psyche that balances our raw desires with the demands of reality. In relationships, the ego is like a tightrope walker, carefully navigating between what we want and what others need. When we get it right, we're not just powerful, we're connected. We stop fighting to be seen and start seeing. That's the shift. Now, imagine life as a dance floor. Each person has their own rhythm, their own style. True power isn't about shoving others aside or stealing the spotlight. It's about feeling the music, sensing the energy of those around you, and moving in a way that complements the whole dance. It's not about control, it's about harmony. When you're in sync, you don't need to dominate. You become part of something bigger, something that flows naturally. Think back to Alex, who found their voice in the quiet corner of the office. Or the client, who uncovered their truth in the therapist's silence. And Jamie and Taylor, who turned a raging storm into a bond by truly seeing each other. What did they all do? They tapped into this dance. They felt the unseen currents, the emotions, the needs, the fears, and moved with them, not against them. They didn't try to win, they tried to understand. And in that understanding, they found connection. Here's the big reveal. Power dynamics aren't about outsmarting people. They're about knowing yourself and reading others. It's emotional intelligence in its purest form, self-awareness, empathy, and the ability to balance your needs with those of others. Freud's ego helps us see that true strength lies in this balance, not in domination. So, the next time you find yourself in a power struggle, whether at work, with friends, or in love, pause. Ask yourself, am I trying to win, or am I trying to connect? Because real power isn't about control, it's about understanding. And when you understand, you don't just navigate the dance, you become part of its rhythm. We've come a long way in this video, haven't we? We started by exploring the sting of feeling invisible, that ache of being overlooked in a crowded room. Then we saw how strategic silence can be a powerful tool, not just for therapists but for anyone navigating the complexities of human interaction. And finally, we witnessed how a simple shift in perspective can turn a heated argument into a moment of deep connection. Through it all, one thing has become clear: power dynamics aren't about outsmarting others or climbing some social ladder. They're about understanding yourself, understanding others, and finding ways to connect in a world that often feels disconnected. This is the quiet power we've been talking about. It's not loud or flashy, it's subtle, built on empathy, awareness, and a little psychological insight. And the best part? It's available to all of us, no matter who we are or where we come from. So here's the key lesson. When you start to see the dynamics around you, really see them, you're not just surviving your relationships, you're transforming them. You're creating space for deeper connections, for moments of understanding that can change everything. Now, I want to leave you with a question to ponder. What's one power play you've noticed in your life lately, and what could you do with it? Maybe it's a colleague who always talks over you, or a friend who seems to dismiss your feelings. Whatever it is, think about how you might approach it differently now with the insights we've explored together. And if this video resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Share your stories, your reflections, or even your questions. I'm here to listen. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want more content like this. Your support means the world and helps us keep diving into these fascinating topics. Until next time, keep exploring the unseen currents in your life. You never know what kind of magic you might uncover. What lingers in your mind after a journey like this? We've wandered through the shadows of the psyche, brushing against those quiet corners where the overlooked parts of ourselves reside. Perhaps you felt a flicker of recognition, a moment where the unseen child within stirred, whispering, "I've been here before." I hope this exploration has stirred something in you, as it has in me. If it's hit home, if it's touched that tender thread connecting your conscious mind to the vast unconscious beneath, please consider giving this video a like. It's more than a button, it's a signal, a quiet nod that says, "This matters." Your support fuels more deep dives like this, guiding me to unearth the stories and insights you crave. Seriously, we're in this together, mapping the unseen terrain of the soul. And if you're willing, I'd love for you to step into the light of the comments. Tell me, when have you felt overlooked, cast into the shadow of someone else's story? Or perhaps, when have you turned that invisibility into a quiet strength, a hidden archetype rising to meet the moment? Carl Jung once said the shadow holds not just our flaws, but our untapped potential. Your story, raw, real, human, could be the spark someone else needs to face their own shadow, to see it not as a burden, but as a teacher. If this journey resonates, hit that subscribe button. We're not just viewers here, we're a collective, a circle of seekers peering into the depths of what makes us human. Your presence strengthens this space, this ongoing dialogue with the psyche. Thank you for walking this path with me. Your time, your thoughts, your quiet courage, they mean everything. Let's keep peeling back the layers, together.